choices to be made.
Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Welcome, everyone. Bonjour, mes amis. And yes, here I am, Deborah Beauvais, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. We're a syndicated Boston-based internet radio station with all the bells and whistles. You can listen on Alexa. You can listen in your cars, online, using your apps, wherever you are in the world. You can listen at any time. So, and we are the media partner for the Omega Institute. We're in our fourth year of doing that, and they are opening up July 23rd. So everything will be going back to the usual pre-pandemic, and we have, as some of you know, we have 20% off because of our partnership. All you have to do is say Dream 7, and you receive on certain workshops, which are right on our website, 20% off. And so there it is. Well, we have a great show for you, and Jack Elias is actually our guest with his better half, I'm going to say. Now, we've had Jack before, and you can go right on our site, Dream Visions, all one word, with an S on the end, the number 7, radio.com, and put in Jack Elias, E-L-I-A-S, and up will come former show that you can listen to on demand. But today, we are talking with Jack Elias and Ceci Miller about their book, The Outrageous Guide to Being Fully Alive, Defeat Your Inner Trolls, and Reclaim Your Sense of Humor. Now, a little bit about Jack. Well, both of them have studied a Buddhist practice for decades, and Jack is an NLP practitioner, and Ceci is not only an author, but a poet and editor. She has her own company, and it's award-winning books that she publishes. So we're just so glad we have them. And before I welcome them in, speaking of the Omega Institute, Chrissa Santoro she's the communications director at the Omega Institute, and she will be joining me later in the show to tell us all the good things that are happening there. So welcome to the show, Jack and Ceci.
Hi there.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you again.
Same here, and welcome, and it's an honor to have you both. And there's a whole lot about this book. It's a small book, but it's really packed. Can you tell us I want to get into the story of the woman with the inner trolls, but tell us a little bit about why you both wrote this book. What compelled you?
Well, we're trying to always figure out how to make change work functional and easily available and help people understand how the mind works. You know, our great irony as a human race is that
yes,
we're constantly involved with our mind, and yet we're constantly using it to cause great harm to ourselves, as is currently evident right now. And it's all unnecessary. So we try to help people figure out how to use their incredible creative ability for collaborative, beneficial ends instead of destructive ends.
Ceci, would you like to add to that?
Yes, I would say, I was really happy to hear you refer to the book as being packed, because it really is packed with really practical things that everybody can do little bit by little bit to work with their mind, to change the relationship that they have with their mind. A lot of, we were talking about defeat your inner trolls. We really mean it, we lose our sense of humor. We feel like these inner voices and inner undermining thoughts are running us around by the nose and keeping us from our happiness and preventing us from also being of benefit to others, as a matter of fact. And, this kind of humorless way of life is just not very much fun. And so this is a way of, we pulling together lots of really, really effective techniques that Jack has amassed over the years, working one-on-one with people and in his classes, that are extremely effective and also really simple.
Right. What would you say that the most dominant thing that we spend time with our thoughts going around and around, would you say it would be fear?
Yeah, it's fearful thinking, definitely. And it's based in the very powerful hypnotic conditioning that we get as children. All of us get it, just in varying degrees, of being taught to believe that the worth of our being, our right to be loved, our right to expect kindness, our right to be kind and loving to ourselves is a function of how our performance is judged by all these giant big people around us.
Right.
And even when we become a big person, those programs still run us around. Everybody's afraid of what other people will think of them, which is just a projection of childhood concern about what parents think of them. Now it's projected onto the whole world.
Exactly.
And that's the constant instigation of fearful thinking, is whether or not I'm okay is a function of how am I doing.
So what is one of your tips or things to put in the toolbox to really check ourselves? I know in the book there's questions to be asked, and if you could tell the story of the woman with the troll, the fear that she had as a child, since we're speaking of that, and you just suggested to her a couple of different ways of looking at it, and then all the fear just dissipated. So share that if you don't mind, Jack.
There are several women. I don't recall right now which one you mean. Can you give me a hint?
Yes. A troll came to her when she was like 3 years old in the night. And the troll had, I guess, an ugly doll or something to that effect. And her whole adult life, she was in fear of this troll, even though she wasn't 3 years old any longer. And it was controlling her life. And what you asked her is, what if the troll came to play? And, just think about that, from the fear of a troll coming and how she was feeling, and then shifting the whole idea of maybe he came to play.
Okay, so the basic insight that people can operate on with that sort of thing is to understand our experience is not a given. It's based upon our beliefs, and our beliefs are optional. So she was stuck believing that the troll was a danger and scary. It's like the old adage, first impression. But you want to challenge your first impression. And so that's what I did. I just gave her the other possibilities of how to interpret the experience. And especially because she was now an adult, it made a huge difference that she could play around with imagining different motivations for the troll. As well as recognizing much more clearly than a child can that the troll is just in her imagination.
Right. Ceci, could you give another example of utilizing that tool, questioning, to shift?
Well, yes. I think, this goes to the heart of what Jack just said, which is that our beliefs are optional. We're in the habit of responding to whatever we think. Our thoughts are just objects in our mind, but when one arises, we're in the habit of just believing it right off the bat. We don't tend to question our thoughts. And so in this case, we have a recurring nightmare or a recurring fear. Those things are always imaginary. A troll, it's very easy to say, oh, that's a childhood fear. That's an imaginary something. And it's very easy to see that's imaginary. But we do this all the time with all kinds of fears that we say, oh, no, that fear is important. The troll, that's not important. That's just a child's nightmare or monster under the bed. But there are dozens and dozens of fearful thoughts that we listen to all day long. Oh, my goodness, what if this happens? Oh, my gosh, what if that happens? Those are optional beliefs. They're not beliefs, they're just thoughts, but as soon as we grab onto them and start repeating them to ourselves, that's where we start being driven around by fear. And our actions then are affected. They start to drive us around rather than us noticing, oh, this is a thought I'm having. How else could I respond to it? What else might the story be,
Right. I think it's which feeds into what you were talking about in the book, too, is asking ourselves, why are we feeling this way? Or why do we have this thought right now? And many times that can stop us in the constant circle of thoughts and shift it right there. And some of these visualizations, I think, are excellent. You talk about a number of those, Jack, in the book. And, I think that when we create our own visual, then when we get triggered, we can always go back to what we've created to let it just move right through. How do you feel about that? And then there's there's one little trick you were talking about is putting a certain thought or belief in the trash.
Right, yeah. Those are all very handy little metaphors. The principle there is that we can always play with our mind. We can play with mental contents. It's all up for grabs. It's all essentially imaginary. And it only seems real through familiarity. So, as Ceci said, if you have a habit of believing something is serious, then that's what's going to happen. You're going to have a more and more solid attitude that it's serious, and you're going to forget that in the beginning it was all just imaginary, and you have other options.
Right.
We lose most of that flexibility in childhood, when our parents or other adults, like not just at home but in school, maybe very sternly make the message very clear, we're not allowed to have a lot of options. We can only have the options that are acceptable to them. And then we can get habituated to that, and then we can believe it's our own point of view. And we can defend only having 2 or 3 options as our own point of view, and be totally forgetful of the fact that there was a time when we were aware there were a lot more options, but they were intimidated out of us.
Exactly.
Not in every case. Not in every case. Not all parents are, that confused. Some parents are more confused than others. But most people do get told something corrective in a kind of shaming way. As a child, most people do get spoken to that way, in a way that puts down the child, for a mistake. And so when we're really little, we can't fend that stuff off. We think, well, that's about me. And if the parent is truly unskillful and says it's about you, you're a bad kid, then we really just take that on. But what we miss is that once we're an adult, we're not under the control of anybody else. And so when we keep doing that to ourselves, we're, in a sense, we're abandoning our own creative ability to form and imagine and envision our best life. And, you know, that's an option that we don't have to abandon that. We can engage it any time, you know. So I love what you said about, you know, visualization sometimes can be very helpful because it brings our creative mind in to create a new story, you know, or a new picture that disrupts this old disturbing one.
Right. And when we realize that, you know, that what happened in our childhood, you know, that it's generational, and we can break the cycle if we're criticizing our own kids, or if we get in a habit because that's what we heard when we were little. We can make a conscious choice to stop it right then and there, and that's all part of loving yourself. I think that's our job. I think that's a big job that we all should do, is break these cycles so that we can, and you said something, Ceci, that was so key, and that's living our best life. We can live our best life if we choose to. It depends on what we want to create with our thoughts and beliefs. Once you get that, you can really pay attention to your thoughts and be surprised or not about what comes out of your mouth when you're having a conversation with someone. So one of the things that, Jack, that you have written about an easy way to release childhood baggage. Could you speak to that, and how can we do it?
Yeah. So, again, the basic principles, I always like to help people focus on the basic principles, which are simple and straightforward, and then people make very rapid change. Like I applied the principles for releasing childhood baggage with a client the other day, and they were just depressed their whole life, and they were quite old now, and they started talking to me about, you know, this limitation, and I said, well, what do you think is going on with that limitation? And they said, well, it's just a lot of old baggage. And I just says, well, how would it be different if you stop taking ownership of that baggage? And they said, gee, I never thought of it that way. And then I went on to make it more clear that, you know, when we say, oh, I'm being limited by this old baggage, and we have a depressed voice, it's obvious we're putting ourselves down for this baggage. But I pointed out, this isn't your baggage. You're remembering how that child behaved. And that child didn't have your adult capabilities. The child, for all the fault you're finding in what the child did, the child was just doing their best with what they had. So instead of putting the child down, how about having compassion? And, you know, they were totally lightened up and brightened up by the end of just one session, just by shifting their interpretation of what was in their memory banks. And that's at the crux of it. We suffer not because of some given thing that's causing us to suffer. We suffer because of how we interpret the data that we have in our memory banks. And one of the main mistakes we make in interpreting is that we take ownership. We think, you know, my past, I did this when I was 4, I did this when I was 15. But you didn't. It was a former version of yourself who was doing the best they could at that time. You could look back with compassion instead of looking back with self-blame, and it makes all the difference in the world.
Right. And as you would agree, as we age, we're able to reflect and ponder and release a lot of things from earlier years than, say, if we were 40 years old.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
We just become wiser, or we decide that we want to know who we really are. But there's a lot of people that go through their whole entire lives stuck in the stuff and never maybe chip away at it, but they, they transition to the other side the same way they came in.
Yeah, that's an indication of the power of the habitual pattern, that they never figured out that it wasn't who they were. They defined themselves by the pattern, and so they didn't change it. Like many of these people that I'm working with, like I just talked about, they're in their 70s and 80s, and they're still having these problems. A lot of people who lighten up when they get that old, it's, to answer your question, part of it's wisdom, another part of it might just be getting tired. Just too tired to hold with some of this stuff.
It's just not worth it after a while. We get bored with it. You ever get bored? Have you ever had that experience? You're thinking over and over again the same old, fearful, scared, worried story. And does it ever just feel boring? Like, this is boring. I'm tired of thinking this. The trick is, when we get tired of it, to allow ourselves to be sick and tired of it. And rather than then perpetuating it, to consider, what else could I think? What other thoughts might I be thinking about this? If I were to really go wild and just come at it from a totally different angle than I normally do, then what might I be thinking? If I were my son, what would I be thinking? Just have fun with it a little bit. It doesn't occur to us when we're feeling down. It doesn't occur to us to have fun with it. But we can build that habit.
Yes, we can. Well, we're up on a break, everyone. So a couple of things I wanted to give out is both their websites. Jack's are Jack Elias, Elias, JackElias.com, all one word. And then CeciBooks.com. Ceci is C as in candy, E, C as in candy, I, books, CeciBooks.com. We'll be back in a moment.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seacock Family Chiropractic in Seacock, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first grade teacher Caitlin Roy DeBellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those two questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social-emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowd-funded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Bliss Brain is a state in which joy is natural. It nurtures the personality traits of patience, compassion, creativity, and love, and it can be yours. Join integrative healthcare researcher and author of Bliss Brain, Dawson Church, for a weekend workshop and learning how to rewire your brain for happiness and creative flow. Mention discount code DREAM for 20% off when you register for Bliss Brain with Dawson Church at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, August 6th to 8th. Learn more at eomega.org.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back. This is a live show, so Bob is in the house and happy to answer your calls and put you through. Our toll-free number is 833-220-1200. You can ask Jack and Ceci a question or share a thought, 833-220-1200. So with couples, and as we know with the pandemic, a lot of families, couples spent more time with each other. Some thrived, some did not. So what would you say to the couples? What is a secret to keeping happy together, to continue thriving and find that joy in the relationship? Jack, you want to go first, and then Ceci?
Okay. I would say notice how you talk to yourself and talk to your partner instead. So stay in communication, stay current, and then in the context of staying open and current about what you're thinking and feeling, it's really crucial for both people to understand that blaming is never accurate. It's not morally bad. It's just a diluted way of thinking. And it's very easy to lay that out scientifically. I don't know if we have time, but I would say that. To stay current, talking without shame or guilt about your thoughts and feelings, and recognizing that never to frame things in a blaming structure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which is a challenge.
It is. I mean, I think that, it's easy to say that, to communicate without blame, shame, or guilt. But, really it started with me, I would say, in relationship when I started looking at, the quality of my speech, how I spoke, because I was one of those people who grew up hearing a lot of harsh speech. And so harsh speech sounded kind of natural to me. And it was hard for me to hear it when it was coming out of me. Of course, it does start with kindness to oneself, As soon as I noticed that I had this harsh speech habit, then I started looking at, where does that come from? And I was speaking to myself that way all day long. So, and I'm not saying this is something that happens overnight, but starting to watch the ways that I spoke to myself when something was disappointing, or I felt hurt, or I felt anger rising, what kinds of stories I was telling myself, usually instead of feeling it. So a big tip I would give is start looking at the feelings and being kind enough to ourselves to allow ourselves the space to feel them. And, it's not always time to talk. That's not always the best time to talk when something, arises really suddenly with a lot of power. Sometimes, you got to take a walk with yourself or have a little journaling time. Before it's time to speak. But that was hugely helpful to me.
Jack, did you want to add to that or something else in that's important for you to get out?
Yeah. When we blame, it's a statement of causality. Like, you made me feel X. Okay, that's cause and effect. But when we understand how our mind works, we understand that whatever we perceive through our sense organs, whether it's plants, objects, or people, hearing people speak. Everything is sensory data. And sensory data has no inherent meaning. It means nothing until we give it meaning. So if you tell me I'm ugly, and I say, you hurt my feelings when you told me I was ugly, what really happened was I heard you say I'm ugly, and then I am totally in control of validating it. So I can't blame you for my hurt feeling because I'm the one that created it by agreeing with what you said. Mm-hmm. And that's always the case. No matter what anybody says or does, it only has the meaning we give it. So we have to, as you referred to earlier on, one of the things we use is to ask ourselves, what do I have to believe to feel this right now? And that turns your attention inward so that you can recognize how you're creating your own experience and the other person is not to blame.
Right.
Was that clear?
Absolutely. One of the things I've learned is if you're upset with someone or someone is, whether it be in business or personal, and maybe something that they're doing is going to change your life completely for more of a struggle or go in this path of struggle. And that may be something you're thinking of, and that's why it's coming to be. But what I've found is if you think of that person instead of the enemy or the bad person or your blame, shame person, wrap them in love, it takes on a whole different connotation because, and you can do that with your parents too. You know, sometimes we're so wrapped up with our own journey and what happened to us, but to just stop and think, what is the other person feeling? What are they going through? What are they thinking? What are their beliefs? And when you wrap it all in love, a lot of that dissipates what's in your mind, what you've created. Does that make sense? Sometimes I'm not as articulate as what my thoughts are.
No, that's beautiful. I mean, I think that what you described is a very simple and powerful empathy exercise, you know, that anyone can do anytime, you know, to build the habit of empathy and love for others, you know, right. Because the more we spend time in that mindset, the more we spend time in thoughts of what might somebody else need to make themselves happy? What might someone else need, you know, for their sustenance, you know, for their children, for their health, you know, for their upliftment? When we put our thoughts in those places, we don't have room for a lot of kind of self-centered anxieties that we habitually entertain. We habitually think about ourselves. It's normal, right. But it's not necessary. And it's a choice. Right.
It goes back to a choice. The time is going by quickly, and I love what you said, Ceci. It just fits in the way, you know, what I've found along the way. And then on the other side of it, it's always good to hear other points of views, because the more that we learn, it seems like the less that we know, and so it's good to hear other ways of thinking. So, Jack, what would be like? I know we've shared a lot of information. What would be like the main thing where someone could start? Say they are stuck in their stuff and their whole lives. What would you suggest to wake them up and have them realize, you know, the magnificence of having the opportunity to live on Earth?
Well, that's the thing. That's the irony. It's the closest, most obvious thing, and we constantly overlook it in order to have our emotional melodramas, our soap operas. So I often ask people to just take a moment and feel themselves breathing. And so you understand that you're breathing, because most of us have enough science education. We understand we're breathing in the air, and there's oxygen in the air, and the blood knows, and our body knows how to take the oxygen out of the air that's in our lungs and deliver it to all the cells of our body. So that's fine. So that's a scientific interpretation. But then if you consider, everybody knows if they stop breathing for 3 or 4 minutes, they'd be dead. So it's not just a mere delivery system, it's that you are literally being given the gift of life, breath by breath. So try to appreciate that. Try to open your heart to the fact that this is not make-believe, this is not positive thinking, this is clear-eyed recognition. You are being given the gift of life moment by moment. And then take it a little bit deeper, that without this gift, nothing you love and value would be available to you, because you wouldn't even exist. So it's not merely the gift of life, it's a loving gift. Because what could be more loving than the ability, being given the ability to value and love things in your life? So you're literally being loved into existence. So I ask people to take that shift into deeper and deeper interpretation, not merely intellectually, but to regain the felt sense of being loved into existence, which we see in little children. They don't think of it conceptually. They don't have a conceptual mind yet. But that sweetness that they radiate is because they are experiencing literally being loved into existence breath by breath. So there's that.
Right. Ceci, did you want to add to that? And, I mean, we always talk about, keeping the child within us and tapping into that so we can lighten up and find the joy, the creativity and all.
Yes, I mean, I think that what Jack is saying is a favorite contemplation of mine as well. Just the feeling of being alive and appreciating it. A lot of times we hear the benefits and even the scientific benefits of gratitude practice, thinking of things to be grateful for, and this is all wonderful. Except that sometimes we use that as a kind of I should be grateful, I'm not grateful, And we can skip all that and just notice the beauty of having a body to live in and being breathed and, the sun coming up and, all the things that make us just be able to propel ourselves through our lives are miraculous in their nature. And we forget that in favor of thinking of all the things that we like to worry about, just as a habit. Those are just habits, and this could just as easily be our new habit.
Right. It could be our new habit if we focused on that, or even focused on it partially during the day, or reminding ourselves if we're if we lose our compassion over the phone or something, is recognize that and maybe apologize to the person on the other side. And, then it makes you feel better. There's so many things that we can do, little, medium, and large. We just have to be conscious of it. But the opportunity of having life on Earth, even with the tragedies and everything. I mean, there's so much that the two of you are doing, and many of us are doing, to just transform the way people think and live, so that they can have joyful lives. And that is, I think, miraculous that we're raising the vibration to that little by little, until it overflows. How's that? Until it overflows into all people's thoughts and eliminate the fear. Yeah. I'll give you, each to say a sentence or two to tie things up before we go.
Okay. I would just like to encourage everyone to really take to heart that you are being given the gift of life moment by moment, breath by breath, and consider the amazing richness of being alive and conscious and having intelligence, and that it's literally being given to us moment by moment. And try to have a felt sense of the giver.
Yeah.
You don't have to have some idea of God or anything, but that there's undeniably a giver.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pervading your entire being, moment by moment. And if you just pause, like you said, Deborah, if you take a few minutes several times a day, that a felt sense of awareness and humility and openness will grow, and it will change the way you relate to the world.
Beautiful. Ceci?
Yeah, I would say, a little bit different tip, but it goes right along with that one, is to consider in every moment that you can, how can I be kind to myself right now? How can I, as Jack often says, how can I be kind and encouraging to myself right now? Each moment is new, brand new, never before happened. So each moment is a new choice available to us, and we can choose in that moment to be kind and encouraging to ourselves and to be kind and encouraging to whoever we're with, regardless of what we might be feeling. It's possible. It's possible to do that.
Yes, it is. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on the show. Everyone, get the book, The Outrageous Guide to Being Fully Alive, Defeat Your Inner Trolls, and Reclaim Your Sense of Humor. JackElias.com and CeciBooks.com. Check them both out. Ceci is CECI, CeciBooks.com. Check out all she's doing and all that the two of you have accomplished in your years of your journey. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah.
You're welcome. Until we meet again, everyone, when we come back, we'll be visiting with Chrissa Santoro, Communications Director at the Omega Institute.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Explore and expand your knowledge of trance mediumship in all of its forms with renowned medium Tony Stockwell. During his 5-day trance mediumship workshop from August 15th to 20th, Tony will share his extraordinary wealth of knowledge about the fascinating world of altered states of consciousness. Mention discount code DREAM for 20% off when you register for trance mediumship with Tony Stockwell at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. Learn more at eomega.org.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Why are we here? How can we be happy? Questions asked from millennials to boomers. Crappy to Happy, Sacred Stories of Transformational Joy answers them using true stories of grit, grace, and love. James Redfield, author of The Celestine Prophecy, wrote in the foreword, "This book is a seminar about emerging truths and offers grounded solutions through the art of the comeback." Dr. Bernie Siegel, a contributing author, wrote, "Bodies die, but spirits and consciousness survive and recycle." So, grab some tissues, open your book, and prepare to cry and laugh till it heals. Crappy to Happy by Reverend Ariel Patricia and Kathleen O'Keefe Cannabis. Available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and booksellers worldwide.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
And we are back, and as mentioned earlier, this is a live show. Anyone that would like to call in, it's 833-220-1200. Bob will answer your call, and I'm now with Chrissa Santoro, registered yoga teacher. She has been a practitioner of hatha yoga and meditation since 1998. She is the communications director at the Omega Institute, where she also teaches daily open yoga classes to the participants and staff. And we are so excited because it's July 23rd, right, Chrissa, where the Omega opens up?
Yes. We are so excited. After a year of being closed, we are reopening on July 23rd. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. We're really enjoying promoting the workshops and all that we do and all that you do there. For those that may not be familiar, whether they're listening now or listening later or another time, tell us more about what is the Omega Institute today.
Sure. Our full name is the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies, and we are a nonprofit that offers opportunities for lifelong learning, and we offer those opportunities both in person and online. Our home base is in Rhinebeck, New York, and that's about 90 miles north of Manhattan in the Hudson Valley, so it's very easy to get to.
And you have all kinds of accommodations there now, actually before and now again, correct? People can stay, go to the retreats, all of that.
It's true. We have a variety of accommodations to meet several different budgets. So you can come as a camper, you can stay in a dorm, you can come with a roommate or a partner and stay together, or opt to stay alone. And the campus itself is a beautiful experience. So some people will even come just for simple rest and rejuvenation. So you can come and stay on our campus. It's 250 acres in the heart of the Hudson Valley. Enjoy beautiful farm-to-table cuisine, all of the nature trails and the lake and the tennis courts. It's quite an experience even just to be on our campus, sitting in the garden, having a cup of tea.
I agree. So how did the Omega cope with the pandemic? Can you tell us about that?
Well, it has been quite a challenge and quite a year for all of us. Typically, Omega's guest season runs for about 6 months from May through October. But due to the pandemic, like so many businesses, Omega was forced to close our doors in 2020. And canceling the workshops, pausing campus programming really created a significant economic hardship for us. So we had to pivot very quickly, increasing our online learning and cutting our costs dramatically. Thankfully, we did receive some federal assistance as well as a lot of support from our members and donors and friends. And we were really delighted by the success of online learning. And so that's something that we plan to continue building out, all of the virtual opportunities and offerings. So I would say that it was challenging, but out of the challenges came some great opportunities in learning. And now our operations team has worked really hard to put in place new COVID safety measures so that we can safely reopen our doors on July 23rd.
Very good. And wouldn't you agree that as awful as the pandemic has been, a lot of companies, whether small or larger, nonprofit or for, have found ways to offer different services or products or everything that would be under the sun with a business, that these things would have never come to be or even be an idea unless they experienced the pandemic.
I completely agree. I'm seeing that, as businesses and communities are working to rebuild their lives, there's so much ingenuity that has come from the situation and also so much connection that has come, new ways of connecting and being together. And that has been really encouraging.
And I think valuing each other, valuing ourselves, of course, which is a journey, but really valuing the relationships we have and wanting to foster them, because, and I think that's been an eye-opening experience that we probably we maybe took advantage of prior to the pandemic. There's so many gifts that it has given, and has many people have awakened as well. So tell us about speaking of awaken, tell us some of the upcoming programs that you're excited about.
I'd love to. I mean, first of all, just to be offering in-person programs again is so exciting. And we have more than 100 workshops planned on campus from the end of July through the end of October. Obviously, I can't highlight all 100, but let me tell you about a few. August 1st to the 6th, we're hosting a workshop that's called Freedom from Chronic Pain. And the premise of that is that when we suppress our emotions, our body is in disequilibrium. So this is a workshop that works with psychotherapist Nicole Sachs and her team of assistants, and the goal is to help people learn to use the mind-body connection to free themselves from the mechanism by which the brain and nervous system are creating chronic pain. And I just think that is so fascinating. There are so many people out there living with pain and have just come to accept it, but to me it's really reassuring to know that it doesn't have to be that way. So that is one program that I'm personally excited about.
And what's the name of that one again?
It's Freedom from Chronic Pain with Nicole Sachs, August 1 to 6. And then the next one I want to talk about is geared toward a specific audience, and I'm wondering, do you think we have any teachers that are listening in, or school administrators, people that work in education?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, listen, teachers are our heroes, and they will not want to miss this. We have a program called Educating for a Sustainable Future with Jamie Cloud of the Cloud Institute for Sustainable Education. And this is a hands-on workshop that helps teachers and school administrators design curriculum for students K to 16, and this is programs for sustainability in schools, helping students and teachers learn how to build a healthy and sustainable future. Because let's face it, it's the young people that are the future. They have an important role to play if we're going to meet into the environmental challenges ahead. And I love this workshop because it can be taken in person or online. You can take the whole thing from August 2nd to the 6th, or as a one-day course in person or online August 2nd. So there's some options with that one. Switching gears completely, the next workshop that I wanted to talk about is called Mary Magdalene Revealed. It's taking place August 13th to the 15th, And this program is being taught by Megan Watterson. Megan is a brilliant author. She's a feminist theologian with a Master of Theological Studies degree from Harvard Divinity School and a Master of Divinity degree from Columbia University. And through lecture and discussion and meditation, she provides a more complete understanding about Mary Magdalene's teachings and why her gospel was excluded from the New Testament. So it's really fascinating stuff, and I encourage people to check that out on the website.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, I love it too. It's very unique. And then the next one I wanted to tell you about is happening the same weekend. So again, the Mary Magdalene is happening August 13 to 15, and that very same weekend we're hosting our Energy Medicine event with 6 leading experts in the field, including Donna Eden and Dawson Church. And this is a workshop that really helps you to tap into your own innate inner healing and learn to balance your energies so that you can work with illness and increase vitality. And I think that is something that all of us need.
Yes.
I don't know how I'm doing on time, but I could keep going.
Well, we only have a couple minutes. One of the things I wanted to ask, just so people know, do you still have the membership program?
We do still have a membership program. Thank you for asking. For as little as $10 a month donation, you can become a member of Omega, and you're really helping with that money to fuel all of our nonprofit work and to provide scholarships to a growing number of participants from all walks of life. And In exchange and in gratitude, our members receive discounts on all programs, in person and online, and they also get a monthly newsletter that's dedicated to members, as well as access to digital content, articles, videos, interviews that are exclusively for members. So that is a wonderful way to both support the work of Omega Institute, which is a nonprofit, and also to receive some very special offerings from top teachers and staff at Omega.
Excellent. We have like 1 minute, so if you can share one more workshop.
Okay, one more workshop. So in late August, the 20th to the 22nd, we have Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics with Jeff Warren. And this is a retreat that's designed for total beginners as well as more experienced meditation practitioners. And I just love the title and Jeff's teaching style. It really makes meditation approachable even for the most fidgety skeptic.
Thank you. And then how do people learn more?
The best way to see everything that's happening at Omega is to visit our website, which is eomega.org. And also, you're welcome to follow us on social media. We love to hear from people through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all the usual suspects. We're there, and we'd love to connect with your listeners.
Thank you. Well, thank you for coming on, and we'll be talking with you come September again and see what's happening then. And so I wish you well, and congratulations to the whole Institute for opening July 23rd. eomega.org, just as it sounds, eomega.org. Thank you, Chrissa.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this conversation and wish you well.
Oh, you're welcome. We appreciate you as well. So everyone out there, until the next time we come together in unity, bye for now.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week. All designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.